going to be a video showing a solo master Nightfall, getting the platinum rank on Scarlet Cape with a Warlock. The particular week we're on is double loot, meaning that for Nightfall rewards you get twice the loot, of course, common sense. We're doing it on a Warlock because Togetherness modifier is on the Mastery Edition, not on Grandmaster, because Grandmaster chaff, it's always chaff, that's the main modifier. But on Masters it rotates between Togetherness, Attrition, Famine, and chaff as well. So it's Togetherness, which is the worst one for solo player because you do not get any health regen like you usually would. So this means that you've got to spec out for a health build, which all three classes can do it. Titan, Crest of Alpha Lupi, One-Eye Mask, Hunter, Wormless Crown. There are other builds. And on a Warlock, obviously Healing Rift, and you've got so much things for healing. We're using the exotic helmet, the Stag, so every time we get one shot we get Rift energy. If you use 100% recovery, you basically, once you get one shot, you get your Rift back straight away, which is ideal for this Nightfall. So we're using that. We're using Dawnblade bottom tree, just because there's not much use for well radiance so much in it. Could probably make use of it, but I just went bottom tree Dawnblade instead. Top tree for me, no, because the super's not very good. The neutral player's good, super's not very good. Super's a little bit better on the bottom tree, so that's why we went that. We're also using for weapons Sleeper Simulant, the exotic linear fusion rifle, a unstoppable hand cannon, and anti-barrier pulse. There are no void shields in this, it's only arc and solar. That's why we've got arc and solar on. As you saw there, Sleeper Simulant does pretty good damage per shot, and you can take a champion out with 3 crits roundabout. Xenophage is the better option. Like, just for ammo, it can generate Warmine cells, which I do have a cell build on, but the Sleeper Simulant cannot create Warmine cells, whereas Xenophage can. So Xenophage would speed this run up. You probably get it done solely in half an hour, 35 minutes. Okay? So I'm just making the run longer because it's the end of the season and there's not a lot going on. So I want to switch up the weapons. And it so happens to be the Sleeper Simulant is very good in this one because of precision multipliers on the boss and stuff like that. And it's pretty good from range on champs, as you can see here. In terms of everything else, we're using high energy fire, shield break, charge. We've got a arc damage resistance mod on our chest plate because arc damage is increased in this Nightfall. So is knockback damage. And we're using a linear fusion rifle reserves just to help out Sleeper Simulant because it's not very good on ammo. We've got scavenger on, so every time we pick up a brick it's 3 to 4. If it's an ammo finder brick it's 2, which we do have the ammo finder on for this weapon as well. So with this first section you've got the 2 paths that go left and right. You have 2 champions blocking each entrance. So I always go right first. Obviously you're going to take the champion first. Take the shield. We do get weak, so just be careful of the arc damage resistance. Now that's another thing I failed to mention with being on this tree is we're on bottom tree, which I forgot to mention is because of health regen. Phoenix Dive allows you to get your health back every 2 or 3 seconds. It's on a cooldown. Because you just jump up in the air. The higher you are in the air, the more health regen you get. Not based on your health like Wormless Crown so much, it's based on how high you jump. If you jump max height and then do a dodge, you'll regain full health. If you just do a short hop, you'll get 20%, 30%. This is very powerful. The Hunter, to get what the Warlock can do right now, requires to use Wormless Crown. The Warlock doesn't require anything for bottom tree. It's just a perk that's built into the tree. So it makes it very good for an activity like this. So when we clear the wizard, which we use the super to do so, why are we doing that? Well, it saves on ammo. Okay. But when we get the cell or the orb, we're going to drop the orb. Forget about the orb because what basically ends up happening is that you'll end up having to juggle the relic and try to take out the yards and the champion. So when you're trying to time a shield break and stuff like that, you have to think about, oh well, I've got to re-pick up the relic and stuff. So you don't really need to do it. Just leave the orb, pick up the orb to proc up the ads, in. And knowing that we can focus getting finisher kills. Okay? That's the biggest thing. Now I was fortunate, I got a lot of heavy ammo bricks, but the reason why we're going for the finisher kills is because we have Spores of War on. So for every champion that we finish a kill, we get 9 times out of 10 I get a brick. There's a small chance you won't, but generally you will. So it helps us to keep the flow of Sleeper Simulant. So even though it's bad ammo reserves, it doesn't matter because of Spores of War. Spores of War literally means you can use any heavy weapon and it'll work as long as you match all burns. Which is why I used a weapon like Colony last week. You can literally use any heavy weapon. I could use Prospector, I could use Tractor Cannon, I could use anything. But obviously, not all these weapons are getting neglected, right? Which is why I'm using them in runs. Knowing that it's content for free sort of thing. It's content when generally this is an old tired Nightfall. But now it's not as tired because I'm using a different loadout, which there's been individuals that used this type of loadout before me, so I'm not saying I'm the first to do it. Definitely not. But it just reinvigorates the content for myself. Like, okay, let's see how things go with Sleeper Simulant. Which is really good. The only thing is that it's slow in terms of not being able to generate cells. For example, right here, I'm coming up to the top to take out the wizard. If I used Xenophage here, I could generate a cell, like, quickly. And then shoot the cell with Xenophage and it clears out everything, all in one instant. Whereas there, I'm going to have to take the time with Sleeper, try not to miss my shots, try not to waste too much ammo on it. If the wizard's one shot, we can then switch to our hand cannon, which can generate cells and do it that way, but that's just slower overall. So, yeah, it's slow, and this Nightfall's long no matter what. Like I said, even a good optimized run, you're looking 30-35 minutes, and that's at its best, right? Same again with this side. We'll drop the relic, spawn in the ads. Now with this champion, because of how he's positioned, we like to sort of get high ground, so we go past into this location here. This then allows the Curse for All to spawn in, which they're an additional spawn here, and we can take out those, which is easy enough. We use our hand cannon, what have you, try and get a cell. We don't end up doing so, but that's why we're using the hand cannon here, but whatever works. Now there's still an Acolyte alive, which we need to be careful of. We can, as I say, take out champs from range. That's what makes this loadout pretty good. We can always lead with a Healing Rift as well, which I don't do. I should have done more often than I did. But we'll get Shield Break, as I said. 3 sleeper shots is all you want to be using. So sometimes I'll take out a champ without using sleeper at all. I'll get into when we get to that point. We did do a finisher kill, but the heavy ammo brick fell off the map, which can be a thing. The only thing I would say is try to finish a champion away from a ledge, therefore the ammo will bounce the way you've killed the enemy. If I was to loop around that champ and then do the finisher kill, the ammo would drop on the floor. That's what I should have done. Okay? Well, I had other ammo bricks on the floor, so we're good. But your focus is clearing all the champs, all the ads, doing things systematically, and making sure that you're always full on ammo, or pretty full, for the next part and for the next part. Because the run doesn't really work so much if you don't, like without Spores of War and without ammo finders and all that stuff. This run itself's going to be down to RNG at that point. We'll pick up the second orb and then get this section done. Pretty long this part, 10 minutes just for this bit, but like I say, without the cells it slows it down. We'll have our next champion up ahead, which will be the first unstoppable ogre, and there'll be a bunch of Archshield Knights and Thrall as well. To speed this bit up you can use a super, which you may as well. Again, saving on ammo and stuff. Not only that, what people might not know is supers can bypass match game shields easier than say an unmatched weapon, right? Which I see a lot of people not knowing or realizing. So definitely at times, say you've only got one shield to take care. Say there's all 3 burns in a Nightfall, Void Arc, Solar, but there's only one Solar shield in the whole thing. And you're saying going a Void class rather than Solar. You can still use your Void Super to take down that Solar shield. You don't need to match for that shield if there's only one. If there's like 5, 10 shields, then yeah, you're gonna have to invest a weapon in there. Perks like Osmosis help out, like I've got on this hand cannon here, which you'll see me use at times. Now, this roll isn't as effective on the Officer Revolver as Explosive Payload. It just isn't as powerful. Its range is nowhere near the same, but because Explosive Payload doesn't have range drop off. But the hand cannon's useful for, like I say, when you want to save on ammo. Say we didn't have Sleeper Simulant ammo, then at least we have something to break Solar Wizards, the shields. We'll time that finisher just to get another ammo break. And we can fill up on ammo back here. And we're 10 again. Pretty simple with that. Once your unstoppables down, there'll be a bunch of acolytes. Most of them are just not deadly. There's a couple of snipers at the back you got to be cautious of, but other than that, not too threatening. It's pretty slow Nightfall. Not one of my favourites, if I'm being honest, just because it's quite long, no matter what difficulty you do, especially Grandmaster. And obviously people want to see platinum runs. They don't. This is what changed for me when I used to speedrun the Nightfalls, particularly when the Prestige were out and the time Nightfalls, because you kind of had to speedrun. But now the game is at a point where it doesn't want to be speedrun. So this is just me saying I don't do the speedruns now because the speedruns I'd want to do on Nightfalls and such aren't viable now. Okay? They're team based. Basically, to make you understand, a speedrun should be something like less than 10 minutes. If it's not less than 10 minutes, it's not classed as a speedrun, really. Okay? And not only that, people don't want to see that content anymore anyways. From people who watch myself, they don't really want to see that, so I don't bother doing it. And speedrunning this one, you've got no chance of doing that. It would have to be a non-plat run. Now a non-plat run, I would like to do that, speedrun that, but then people just, what's the point? The loot's tied to platinum. There's no point in speedrunning Nightfalls. The only time for doing that sort of thing is in a team. So you know, a team platinum speedrun, which you can get some Nightfalls less than 10, some less than 15. That's fine, they're speedruns, they're good. But solo speedrunning, it's out the window, it's gone. So for those who were watching when I was originally making those type of videos, that's why I don't do them, because champions aren't designed to speedrun. And there's 20 champions, 25 champions in a Nightfall. You don't want to, and not only that, there's things like double loot now. So it's double loot week, and that's tied to your platinum. So we need to be getting the platinum. So that's why we focus more on how do you do it, where do you stand, and all that stuff. Now, they done double loot 6 weeks ago. No, it'll be when Glassware was up. Might not be 6 weeks ago, it might be a bit less than that. And that was Togetherness as well. So they've done double loot every time it's been Togetherness this season. So it's not like when it first came out when we had Lake Shadows, which is fair enough, that is a short strike as it is, but they could have at least done it on a good week. For example, last week in Inverted Spire, that would have been a perfect Nightfall to do double loot week on, because it's pretty quick. Chaff was, I think Famine was on. I think Famine was on last week. And Famine, you can counter that mod. Togetherness, you know, it's just, you've got to build out, you've got to spec out to that. So they're doing these double loot weeks on the wrong weeks, in my eyes. But with this part, can be quite dangerous because of the Shrieker. So you want to open the Shrieker up at a specific point. I opened him up without being prepared. We'll come back to this location. This is going to be sort of our location to shut the Shrieker down when we need. 2 shots will take a Shrieker. I was playing a bit more cautious than what you needed to. 2 shots will take, then we take cover, and then we're good. I would advise definitely using some sleeper on the Shrieker rather than trying to mess about priming the Shrieker, because the Shrieker can melt you down pretty quick. We wanted to take out the champion last again, just to farm ammo off him. Sleeper will do more damage as well if you get a bounce ricochet shot, which you do on one of the champs later on in, like on the Nightfall. But it can be hard to pull off at times. But if you do a lot more damage. Which in my eyes, they should revert back to what the old Sleeper used to do with the ricochets. I don't know how they would balance it, but they need to give it a buff. I think what's happened is Xenophage and stuff like that, they've had too much time in the sun, and they need to sort of bring out power in other exotics. Sleeper Simulant's just one. There's plenty of others. Deathbringer, exotic rockets. I know the new red one's good and all, but other things. They need a big patch to change up Sandbox because it's getting old. You're finding now with a lot of Nightfall solos, not just solos, but team players. There's a lot of similar weapons coming up. Xenophage, Lament. Lament's new, but it's already getting old. Lament, Anarchy, so common. Best weapon for solo. Why is it best weapon for solo? Not so much because of its damage. I mean, it's not so much with that. It's got great as good damage as any other exotic, but its ammo capacity is very high. So, like if Sleeper Simulant had 30 shots, this weapon would compete with Anarchy. Obviously, I don't want it to have 30 shots. That would be silly. But it should at least have 15 with double reserves. I feel, definitely. This anti-barrier is pretty easy to take out. What you'll find with this anti-barrier is if you take out all the acolytes, the anti-barrier will back up past this area and to the corner, to where that dark area is in front of me. So if you are going to take the champion there, you've got to pick and choose where, because you don't want to be wasting too much ammo, and then he's maybe going into cover. You maybe do 1 or 2 sleeper shots, he goes into cover, and you can't get the shield break, he regens, and you've wasted 2 shots there. So you don't want to be doing that. If people want to see a more effective run, I'll link down below the run I've done with Xenophage. I also used the exotic helmet Dawnblade, which would still work on this run. I can't remember what the modifier was last time, whether it was Togetherness then as well. Not sure, I don't think it was the last time that this was in rotation. But we did use Dawnblade, same loadout. We used the Dire Promise, Arc Pulse Rifle, but Xenophage. But the thing is, this is the thing about it, even though there were different loadouts, the runs are very similar, just one slower than the other, right? And now that's mainly down to knowing what's going to happen before it happens. Like even the small things, like where the anti-barrier will push and will not push. Knowing all that information beforehand is critical, because especially in Grandmasters as well, even more so in that. Like if you're practicing, for those who practice the Grandmaster solos, if you're practicing one, which I've noticed, you've got to get it down to a T. You've got to know, right, I can do this, I can strafe in and out so many times, but I can't push damage too much on a particular point. Now at Master, when you're 12 at light, they're not too difficult. Here's the ricochet shot, so as you saw, 2 shots nearly kill the champ, so it's got very good ricochet damage when you can pull it off. It's just not always the case. We've got 2 bricks off that champion, which is excellent. So we got our Balls of War brick and then a random brick as well. So that Spoils of War ammo is independent on its own from the ammo finders. So that's also a good thing to know. We've got 10 there and a brick on the floor, which is excellent because we've got a lot of solo wizards to take. I will say that I'm standing in Pacific Zone, so I've took the left side first, no, right side first, and the wizard will spawn on the left and right when you get close to that plate. The wizard on the right was took with a super to save ammo again, and then the left one we knew would need 3 shots at least to then take out that wizard. But the wizards are the priority because of the arc damage that you take off them. Once you take the wizard, if you can get a sell off them, great, do that. But you don't have to as well. Now we're going to stand on the plate then step off. Why do we do that? Well, because this plate only has sort of one ad spawn as you stand on it. Some plates, like plate mechanics in the game, they have, like for example, inside terminus. When you step on and off, you get ad spawns for each step on and off you do, right? For this, it's just one ad phase. But the thing is, if you leave an acolyte from a previous phase and then stepping on a plate, you're getting multiple spawns at once. But what I'm doing here is independently taking, singling out each phase. So I know exactly that there's 4 acolytes on this phase. Then when we go over the other side, there'll be 2 snipers and etc. So I know exactly every spawn, and I don't write this stuff down, just know it, because we've played it since Shadowcave for a long time. So, anti-barrier on this side, which we're getting one on each side, so left, right and middle we'll get one. Middle we do last, just because that's sort of how I do it, but if you wanted to do middle first you can. Whichever, just make sure you utilise the super to save on ammo and stuff. Because you might not always be as lucky as myself getting good ammo. I got a lot of ammo in this run. Like I say, I only put it down to a little bit of a luck and linear fusion ammo finder as well on my helmet. Now this run isn't going to be 100k either for the pinnacle reward, mainly because it's too slow. As I said, I've done this already previously, which was, I believe it was 100k, so if you want to see that run, as I said, I'll put it down below. We took out the solo wizard with a super, and then we'll take out the rest of the acolytes. It's important that we do that before we collect the plate. What some people might do is just collect the plate. They'll have a wizard spawn, an acolyte spawn, and while they're standing on the plate they'll get an anti-barrier spawn, 2 snipers, and then a bunch of thrall. All of that coming at you at once, you can't do if you're all solo. With Togetherness on. Not effectively. So, as I said, that's why we're doing this singling out process. As acolytes like to hide a lot, so you can get them all out of cover and stuff. Always best. Trying to get a sell here, got to sell at the very end. Is what it is. We'll collect the plate up now. Phoenix dive whenever you need to as well. Get used to that mechanic of doing it, as you'll be doing it a lot. Also, use your rift a lot more. As I said, I didn't use my rift so much, but I did when I needed to. But I could have used it way more because, as I said, it's sort of infinite healing rift with Stag. You pop a rift, even if you get one shot in a rift, you'll get rift energy back. So very powerful exotic. As I was saying earlier, there'll be a bunch of thrall push. We can do a nade, throw a nade, and then jump up in the air. So we'll all die from that nade. Looking at the radar, there's some more thrall. We'll get a sell off them. Destroy the cell. Take out any remaining ads. Once we're dealt with that, we can deal with the 2 snipers, or the 1 or 2 snipers, and then the anti-barrier champion. You can use the stairs as sort of cover. And the knight, once you aggro him, will sort of shoot at you standing there. And you can use the stairs. Get our first slip shot as always. Always remember as well with your pulse, learn how much ammo it takes to break an anti-barrier shield. For this particular pulse, it's got 42 in the mag, so I can break the shield 2 to 3 times without reloading. If I'm only using it when for shield breaks, which for me is the best thing because it has disruption break on it, so it buffs my hand cannon by 50%. So if we do need to take a champion without heavy, we can do that because you can still melt, especially with a nade. So if I have a nade within 1 to 2 shield breaks, I can get the champion below a third without any heavy. So this loadout works in that sense as well. So it's ammo efficient. Sleeper Simulant does good critical damage. So per burst, it's very good. And there's a lot of wizards. Now, I don't know what it is, but it seems to me that the wizards have a higher precision multiplier than most enemies. Now, like, a lot of bosses are classed as wizards as well. So the Shattered Throne boss is a wizard. For the game, he's just counted as a wizard, I believe. So, I think with a lot of that, like this boss here, the final boss of this Nightfall, he's classed as a wizard. So the precision multiplier is a lot higher. So precision based weapons are going to do better. Now Xenophage still does a lot of damage, you know, because it's Xenophage. But Sleeper Simulant does very good damage, and I can get him down a third with only 3 shots. Just because of the precision multiplier. For example, Celestial Nighthawk can one-shot this boss. On strikes and stuff. But if you have multiple Celestial Nighthawks, you can one-phase the boss. Okay? So, if you need a fire team doing it, don't go Night Stalker, go Celestial Nighthawk, Golden Gun, bottom tree. And you can literally one-shot the boss, and I would believe that you would still get Platinum rank, because the champions at the boss fight, ogres and stuff like that, won't have spawned in. Therefore the game will consider that Platinum, because it has done on any other Nightfall where I've done that, where I've 1 phase or 2 phase the boss before champs spawn in. So it's a good thing to do it. If I was in a team doing it, I would be on my hunter doing it, for sure. We used our super here just for quickness. Now I got a shield break here, and I thought that I could maybe get the champion from this location, but he side dodged into cover. So I wouldn't recommend it if you're not confident, as in confident that the champion's not going to side roll behind cover. What will happen with this is, if you kill all the acolytes around the champion behaves differently, which I've spoke about a couple times. In this case, the champion backs up because it's got no allies. If I left some of the acolytes alive while sitting in a healing rift, I could kill the champion from back there, which would have been probably better than what I'd done. It was slower this way, but we can also get a sell off him, which I didn't get many sells off champs in this run because we're always finishing a champ. I haven't got time to get a sell because I'm always wanting to do Spoils of War, just because of how this run will go. But with this section, you just want to take out all the snipers, any that you can see. Obviously Phoenix dive when possible, and then this is a nice place to take the champion. If you do end up doing like this, it's safer, it's just slower this way. I'll get that disruption break on. As you can see, the damage is pretty good. We're just wanting to get a sell off this champ just so we can clear out any ads above, because they do hide, especially when the Shriek is still alive. The ads, the acolytes, the snipers, they hide a bit. Our last shield break, then we get our cell with our hand cannon. We get that. Now this is the same as the first Shrieker that we took. We need to find the zone where the Shrieker opens and closes, which I already knew this from the last time I done this. It's around about this location here, so do 1 sleeper shot, not to risk doing 2 there, wide in the open. We do 1 and we retreat, and then on the next phase we which we should have got him, but we didn't get our crit. That's fine. And that's just rig it down. So now we can push up a little bit. We want to look out for any more acolytes. I'm looking at my radar and I know there's an acolyte to the right hiding, which is an interesting thing. Whenever you're facing a champion, the ads will hide when the champion's attacking you, but when the champion is stunned, all the ads come out from cover, which is actually smart AI. It's very smart, it's good, but that's just something that happens, so you need to be aware of that as well. We're low on sleeper, we haven't got much ammo, so what we're going to do here is do our nade and our disruption break. Anytime the champion side dodges like that, make sure you follow their movement, because if they're out of your angle for a shield break, then most likely you're going to miss it and they're going to regen all the health. We just want to get him finishable. He's now. Get weak here. We get the stun just, so that's fine. That's our ammo, and then we can back up. We've got another anti-barrier up ahead, again with a bunch of acolytes. So, same thing, the AI of the knight is to push you, is not to push you, but to keep hammering you with attacks. Because there's a lot of acolytes, but once you get most of the acolytes down, the anti-barrier will back up, which is when you proceed with the champion. We're getting plenty of ammo drops, so we're just going to pick up what we've got. Fine. Okay, reload first. Champion is just wanting to avoid all our attacks, we'll wait for that. Wait for a clear shot. We'll get our shot. Obviously these anti-barriers are deadly because of the arc damage, just because it's increased. Get our finisher kill, pick up any ammo, make sure we're max, and then we're on to the tower, the actual tower bit. 32 minutes in at the tower. As I said, it's a really long run, and just sort of how this Nightfall is. A lot of the hive ones are like long, really long. But we have the 100k score, but we're on a 0 times multiplier, so at this point we're only going to lose. So we're not interested in getting any more points because we can't, so we're not interested in any ads. But you can skip the ads at the tower by just hiding behind the red pillars and then Phoenix diving if you get sniped. That's all you do with this bit. You don't need to clear any of the ads. They're a waste of ammo because you can't even pick up ammo from them because you're on an elevator. We're going to jump and do a nade here just to take out all the acolytes on this side. We even get a cell, so we'll break the cell, and I know that a cell will do half of one bar. So we're just going to melt this champ down because I wouldn't have been able to get a finisher kill. I was weak, and I would have got one shot if I'd went over there, and then the wizard round the corner would have killed me on the finisher. So the best player there was just melt the knight down. Okay, on the other side there's more acolytes, and then what will happen is the anti-barrier will loop to where the wizard is. Now ideally we want to get a finisher kill on the knight. Our super isn't that valuable, it's more of another option to kill a wizard, which is a lot of wizards, so we're going to use it here. Because if we try and engage with the knight and then get a finish kill on the knight, the wizard's going to melt us down while doing so. So we need to take the wizard first. If you take the wizard first, then the knight will back up to the elevator. Because there's no ads up, that's just what they do. And then we've got a free sort of sighting on this champ. To make it easy, we can lead with a healing rift, so you lead with a healing. Behind a pillar, and we can start priming. as I said, a brick will give us 3 or 4 shots because it's scavenger. We don't really want to use a shot to get him finishable. We just want to use our nade and stuff, get him finishable. Because we've got 7, we want 10 for the next bit. So 10 will break the crystal, and same again with this elevator. A good thing of knowing where the ads are, because some of them are snipers and can melt you quick with Togetherness on, is look up to see there's a bunch of doors surrounding you. Just look at which ones are open. Yeah? Generally not all of the doors are open. It's a side, it's maybe left or right, or middle and left, or middle and right. You just look and you find the best pillar out of the way of that. Still got a lot of more champions to deal with, and some champions at the boss fight as well, which are going to be unstoppable ogres. This is an unstoppable ogre here, which is easy to deal with. We'll get the stun on the ogre first, do a nade. We'll do a sleeper shot as well. We've got charge with light, so we'll take advantage of the charge with light and get the ogre below half health with one shot. We've got a cell here, so we'll take that. Take any acolytes in the area out. Get another stun, and then we'll just do a bit of hand cannon. We just want to get him finishable, really. And then to let the ogre push you, let him sort of see you. But then there's pillars there if we needed to do that. But we stopped him in a good point. What I didn't want to do there was pick up that brick, so I wanted to leave the brick on the floor, but it bounced into us, so we lost ammo there. But that's fine. So there'll be 2 solar wizards on this bit, left and right, with acolytes surrounding each one. So what we'll do is take out most of the acolytes first, so that none of them are nading us. That's the biggest thing. Took out some on the right side as well. You can actually stun a lot of these enemies, any red bar enemies, with your unstoppable hand cannon or your anti-barrier pulse. Anti-barrier got reworked, and people don't know about that, but it got reworked this season where it staggers enemies more. Not so much, it's not like a stagger like unstoppable lead. That's like actually stopping an enemy. The anti-barrier is flinching the enemy. Now it's noticeable on the SMGs most, which makes sense, that's a good change. But it's kind of like that on pulse rifles as well. We'll see what anti-barrier looks like next season, whichever weapon they're going to put it on. I think they're going to put it on either scout rifle or bow. It might be bow, because we haven't had bow as anti-barrier, we've only ever had that once. I think they'll do anti-barrier bow. I think that's what they'll do, but I guess we'll see. We've got a brick over there, I believe, which turns out to be an ammo finder once. It's only a +2. That's fine. So we've got 9 shots. Took out the farm wizard for that section, and we just want to get to the boss fight now. So the boss fight is... it's going to probably be the hardest part for people, for sure, because... just because of how this boss fight works, because of how many adds there are linked to his HP. The way I do this boss is do it in 3 phases. It's more than 3 phases, it's more like 6, 7, 8 phases in terms of waves of adds. Yeah, the boss's HP is linked to 3 phases, but within those 3 phases there's multiple phases of knights, arc knights, champions, acolytes, curse for all, etc. Knowing what spawns up is good, but if you do it this way, you get all the waves of adds at once, meaning that you can melt all the adds down from a good location. We're using a super here because we have no need for it. Sleeper Simulant's going to do most of the damage. We'll use that. Take out both wizards. We get 2 bricks dropped from the wizard, so we'll remember that for later. We're not picking that up now, that's for later on in the fight. because we need a bit of ammo.
Here she comes.
We've got Charge of Light as well, so we're going to use that. I'm going to do 3 shots. Boss will be immune, which is what we want. And then we're going to come round to this safety location here. This is where you do most of your thing, the boss fight. So what that's done there is spawned in all of the waves of adds linked to the first phase of the boss. Which is going to be, for the first phase, a lot of Thrall, some Arc Melee Knights, and 2 Arc Melee Knights and 2 Arc Boomer Knights, and 2 Solar Wizards, etc. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Now, this place where I'm standing is safe for the most part. The biggest danger is the Thrall. Now, the reason why that is because the Thrall can knock you off the map. As you see, I'm on the ridge of this, around this corner. If the Thrall rush you, which that's what they're going to do, they want to melee you, of course. If 2 or 3 come around that corner unexpectedly, there's not a lot you can do. You'll be knocked off the map and you will wipe. You won't go to orbit, but you'll wipe and you'll have to restart over. The best thing I can suggest is peeking in and out of cover. As soon as you see a Thrall up, you back up. You just back up. That's all you do. And you use your pulse, because the pulse is going to stagger them. Here's the thing with the hand cannon. The hand cannon isn't going to stagger them because you need to aim down sights for what, 1-2 seconds. The anti-barrier pulse is going to stagger them just that little bit, and I don't need to aim down sights. So it's an instant thing where you just knock back the Thrall just a little bit, and it stops them from knocking you off the map. Another thing, if you see them rushing you as well, just back up and they'll sometimes run past you off the map, like so. Getting a cell as well at this part is very handy if you can. As that will, you can then take the cell to then know, it'll proc all the adds that have been killed, so you can read, so you'll know if all the Thrall have been killed if you shoot a cell, which I do end up doing later on a different phase. This is where the high energy fire shield break charge comes in handy, because the knights they keep regenerating their health, you know, they keep doing their stuff, but when we get a shield break we can melt them with our primary. These are the arc shielded melee knights. They are a danger as well, they can knock you off the map, but just sort of see what they're going to do, just strafe left and right. Watching your radar is just very helpful on this, because you can see, you can kind of know if there's a lot of Thrall up and stuff like that. You don't know what enemy types are up, but obviously if there's a ton of red on there, then there's more likely a lot of acolytes and all that stuff. You'll know if there's a lot of acolytes up because they'll throw nades at you, they'll keep doing that. You kind of know what's around the corner without seeing it. We use Osmosis here with a solar nade. The thing is with these solar wizards is that they hide behind the boss, and the boss's shield's immune. So it makes them hard work in that respect, but once most adds are down, you can venture out. The boss will do his maneuver where he can push you in the air, but he'll only do that when DPS. When the boss is damageable, that's when he does it. When the adds are up, the boss does not do that. The boss won't do that move as well if you are behind that rock I was at just before. So that's another reason why it's very good down there. Because of knockback damage, if you get hit by that, you'll probably get knocked into a wall and die, or off the map. Phoenix Dive can negate that, which I advise if you do get knocked by his aura that he does on the floor, then just Phoenix Dive immediately, and it will negate it, because you'll get the health regen and it'll stop the knockback from happening. We use a super here, which I didn't use the best of, because it was cracking the boss more than the wizards. But I did get both of the wizards weak, so it wasn't all bad, but it wasn't the best. Try and get this Arc Knight down. Proven difficult because the Knight's doing Arc, the wizards are doing Arc, and the boss is doing Arc. You've got to be careful not to be melted. But I would peek shooting, jumping up in the air, and then Phoenix diving. We're going to do a sleeper shot just to sort of speed it up a little bit. We've got ammo at the back, which we want that. I'll be going for. Important you go for your ammo before you do DPS. When you start doing DPS, that's when you get your waves of adds. Now my ammo's right at the back gate, so I have to get that ammo when it's DPS phase, when there's no adds up. That's the time to do it. Used osmosis there to take the wizards. Got a cell as well. We'll shoot it, just that little bit of damage, and then we'll go for our armor. We've got charge of light ×2 as well. Which I've already mentioned, I've got stacks and stacks on, so every time I get a shield break charge, I get a ×2. From one shield break, because it's stacks on stacks. We're just waiting for a good location to DPS. Just right here, we'll do our 3 sleeper shots. He did do his move there, but it just sort of disappeared as he got immune. That was kind of weird, but we would have Phoenix dived out of it anyways. Same again, that's going to spawn in all the waves of ads, so you can see there's 2 champions appeared, 2 unstoppables. On this phase, it's Curse for all, unstoppables, acolytes, and there's some more Arc Shielding Knights, I believe. 2 more Boomer Knights. This phase is probably the easiest out of the 3. And the reason I say that is because there's no Thrall. There's Cursed, but Cursed are less likely to knock you off the map because they walk slow. They can still knock, well, they wouldn't knock you off the map, I guess, because they would explode. So there's no danger of getting knocked off the map. The danger is the unstoppables. But the unstoppables are controllable. They don't even come up here. And if you are getting shot, just duck, heal and rift. And if you get one shot in your heal and rift, as long as you got my build on, you'll get your heal and rift back while sitting in a rift. So it's infinite heal and rift. If you're getting one shot while you're in your rift, that is. Or Phoenix dive like so. Just a short hop, Phoenix dive. And get this knight down if we can. Both unstoppables are still up, which I am aware of, but we're just dealing with adds at a time. What any ad pops around that corner, basically. There's the full health ogre spawned in. We use charge of light. Gets the ogre to a 3rd almost. Really good. The damage that it's doing right now, if you've watched it this far, because I know it's a long video, the damage I just done there with one sleeper shot is what sleeper should actually do, in my opinion. Maybe not 20%, maybe 10 to 15. It should be buffed by 10 to 15 and have an ammo reserve, but because the state of the game is now different to what it used to be. The state of the game has us dealing with 20 to 25 champions in activities, not just Nightfalls, they're in missions. Yeah, they're in all aspects of the game now, apart from PvP of course. So we're dealing with a different game now. All these exotics like rockets, Sleeper Simulant, their ammo need to be adjusted to consider all the high health targets that are now in the game. We've never had so much health high targets in this amount of number. Maybe Crota when it first launched, because there was tons and tons of yellow bars, but I liked that. I quite liked that there was a lot of ads. A lot of gold bars and yellow bars and stuff. I thought that was really good. But that's the final ad down, because we know, because the shields went. So this final phase, we're not going to do with it, we're just going to kill a boss. So we'll do our 2-3 sleeper shots, and then we'll use a super to finish. That was the solo platinum Master Nightfall. It is double loot week, but it's not the best week to do it on. But here's the video anyways. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you.
This is a relief to hear. But Hashladun's presence is no coincidence. The Hive must have grander ambitions for the Pyramid's influences. Return to me. There is much to discuss.